project, was started last year. Last year is when we actually, the first sequence of the project, in which we had middle schoolers, research and look about the history and basically expound more knowledge about the cemetery. And that's when we gained more information on the retrospective of the history and the individuals buried there.
Doing the research, it was very interesting to find everything that we did. I had no idea about Georgetown having African Americans before now. None of it I knew beforehand. It was also challenging. It wasn't easy. You couldn't just pull it up on Google because it was buried history, literally buried. So it was hard to find, but with our mentors, we were able to do it.
My inspiration is that I've always known that there was an African American burial ground there. Never been there though till last year, because I was like, well, there's this African American burial ground. I went over there expecting to see a cemetery. I got a cemetery, but it was in a state of, I guess what you would call ruined dilapidation. And a lot of people were mistreating the cemetery, walking the dogs over it. When I had actually first gotten there, it had finished raining, so it seemed like it was really in bad state. And a lot of tombstones have been sunken in and in bad condition. So that's what really got me keenly involved after witnessing that.
When you want to go to visit the actual cemetery, it's in this back alley in order to get to the actual cemetery itself. And it's just, you go there and you're just so distraught that the place has been left like this, especially since, it's our ancestors and a connection to the history and the impact we have in Georgetown.
The process of research has been going through Washitoti collection to find as much as I could about it, which then led me to go to DC Archives, and they have been very helpful, Mr. Clarence Davis and the individuals there. Not many people know about DC Archives, but it's a very central, important piece for getting information. And then the Library of Congress provided us with a lot of information.
My name is Fanta Kamara. I'm 17 years old, and my group's task was to go through newspaper records and the census at the Library of Congress and the Martin Luther King Library to find anything that mentioned the Mount Zion Church community and any prominent African American members in Georgetown between the years of 1800 and 1929.
Hi, I'm Azania Toure, I'm 18, and my group's project was to go through the newspaper articles and to find interesting news about the cemetery.
My name is Haja Kamara, I'm 15 years old, and my group's task was to look through the DC estate records and figure out the names and the housing records of people who are buried in the Mount Zion Cemetery.
Hi, my name is Angelique and I'm 15, and my group's task was to create a map based on the information that we found in MLK Library, and our primary resource was the housing of the state's District of Columbia, and that was through 1801 through 1850. That
this cemetery was actually used as a passageway in the Underground Railroad during slavery. The church vault had a vault in the cemetery, in which when people were passing the Underground Railroad, enslaved individuals would actually have to hide in that vault, and that's where dead bodies were sometimes placed. So to me, it's really truly like a land of life and death. I went to the park area that went out through the top, because there's an entrance to the park and there's an entrance to the back of the alley. And when I came up there, it's like, I was rising up into this land of the dead, this necropolis, and to see, the state that I was in. It's like even in death, these individuals are getting the respect. So it's powerful, but I believe that now that we're pulling up the history, we're bringing more prominence to Mount Zion, and not just prominence to Mount Zion, but the community that used to be there. And this heritage, I believe, has been largely ignored, and it can't be ignored for long because it's a very vital heritage. I believe that it will, have a large impact. It should, in my opinion, because what's being done right here, this is history. The fact that these teenagers here, they're acting as historians. They're pulling up not unknown information.
And you yourself?
Yes, myself actually, yes. I've had to coordinate, I've had to pull up information myself for them to find. And me, it's been a very powerful experience becoming a historian and, and a research investigator, the lead research investigator.
We should go and help clean up the cemetery. In the beginning, it was kind of hard work. You didn't really understand why we had to do this work in the beginning, but as we learned more, it was more our duty for ourselves rather than just the program itself. And once you learn the history, then you'll want to do it too, because it is our history and it is our ancestors. It's not anybody's, it's ours, so it's our responsibility.
Well, I think the community can actually try to go to Mount Zion Cemetery and learn more about the culture and the history that African Americans have and their impact on the city. Because since African Americans were the majority of the population in Georgetown, they literally built the city from the ground up, and there's so much history that not many people know about it. So just being able to go to the cemetery, talking to historians, going to the African American Civil War Museum, I think that can help people become more aware of our presence in the city.